So some background on RBC. RBC didn't come around until the 1990s. So before that, any surplus requirement was really just a baseline of the surplus required to start an insurance company. There wasn't anything to maintain an insurance company and what you required. So that surplus wasn't really a good measurement of risk. In addition, that requirement could vary by state, and it didn't account for the financial risk or profile of the actual insurance company. So like I mentioned, in the 1990s, the NAIC created a committee to start looking at this and to create a formula. And that finally was implemented in the late 90s. Some key components of this formula and what they were hoping to achieve was coming up with a calculation for capital adequacy that related to risk. It was also meant to create a safety net for the insurer. So RBC is a good guide as to help see when you might be starting to be in trouble. Similarly, that also provided regulators both a metric to gauge when an insurer might be in surplus trouble. It also provided them the authority to step in once RBC gets to a certain level. The other benefit of this is that it's uniform across the states. So it's comparable when you're looking at insurers that are domiciled in different states. So an introduction to this formula. Some of the key concepts you're going to want to be thinking about as we talk today and to be aware of is the RBC formula is unique by carrier. So today we're talking about property and casualty, and while some of the concepts are similar, there will be different risk charges between the life, health, and property and casualty carriers. Remember, this is also an elastic measurement. This is something that as the company changes and grows, or their investment portfolio changes, the RBC formula, the formula is the same, but the results will be different. It also produces different capital requirements for different companies, which makes sense, right? Different companies have different underwriting risk, they have different markets and different target insureds, they have different investment portfolios. So while the formula is the same, we wouldn't expect any two insurance carriers to have the exact same, RBC inputs and formulas. Then the last thing, just to have as a frame of reference as we're talking through things, is what the RBC ratio looks like. So the numerator in that calculation will take into account what your actual surplus is as a carrier, and then it will compare that to the required surplus from RBC calculation. So we're going to circle back to this formula at the very end once we've talked through all of the inputs.